Hello, I'm Elif and this is a recap for episode 39 of the series Golden Boy, 24 hours after Turkey and before dubbed for TV. After Ferit leaves, Bölüm asks Orhan to go after their son and bring him back, but Yali Khan shouts, no one has the right to go after him. If he left, he will pay the price. Orhan says, how much more do we have to pay? If all of us go, it won't change a thing. You don't need us. Your daughter and grandson are with you. Outside the building, Seyran asks Ferit not to go, but Ferit reproaches her for talking to Kaya and says, I told you not to talk to him. Did you tell him everything about me? Seyran, crying, says, I just pleaded with him not to make the situation worse than it already is. Kozim calms them down, and all three head towards his house. Upon arriving at Kozim's house, Ferit and Seyran start arguing. Ferit says, if you ask me not to do something and I do it anyway, how would you feel? Seyran replies, do you think I felt when I told you not to tell my father anything and you schemed with him? Sona tries to calm them down. Ferit states they won't return to the mansion and will live with Seyran's family. Seyran is shocked. Ferit says, didn't you say I'll go wherever you go? Well, from now on, I'll stay right here. Seyran replies, I don't want to go back to my father's house. Ferit responds, marriage is like this. Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to. Nokhat goes to Yali Khan's room to calm down and advises against responding to anger with violence. She urges her father to entrust everything to her. Efegat, who is reveling in recent events, confronts Nokhat and taunts her for not being able to control the situation. Nokhat calmly replies, there must be sorrow before happiness. I believe happiness is near after all these tragedies. Nokhat goes to Kaya's room. Kaya, furious about the injustices they face, expresses their frustration and declares they can no longer live in that house. Nokhat says, I can't force you to stay. But I'll stay and fight. Kaya retorts, you say this because you know I can't leave you alone. Mother and son embrace, and Nokhat urges Kaya to endure and not abandon them. Ferit, to spite Seyran, constantly gives her orders, and Seyran finds it hard to say no in front of her family. She tearfully confides in Sona, fearing that Ferit might turn out to be like her father. Sona reassures her, saying that Ferit will return to the mansion in a few days, and these circumstances won't last long. During the night, Ferit attempts to get closer to Seyran, but she pushes him away, stating that she isn't mentally prepared for a relationship in her father's house. Ferit is frustrated by Seyran's excuses. Orhan, after the heated argument with Yali Khan, leaves the house and spends the night at a bar. Upon seeing a picture of his family, he immediately rushes home. At the mansion, Dejla leads the way to help Orhan, who is drunk, and accompanies him to his room, preparing to wash his shirt. Sultan, aware of Dejla's intentions, warns her not to get close to Orhan. The next morning, Nokhat asks Kaya to go to Kozim's house to apologize to Ferit and bring him and Seyran back. Kaya is reluctant, but he agrees under his mother's insistence. When alone, he promises herself that he will retaliate against all of this. Nokhat and Kaya leave the breakfast table early. Orhan, after their departure, gets up and says, it's so easy to leave this table. We've sat here all these years, with hearts bleeding and eyes full of tears, just to uphold your law, Dad. I wish Nokhat had come earlier. Maybe everything would have changed by then. Maybe Fuad would still be sitting at this table. Dejla waits in front of the mansion for a taxi, and Orhan arrives on his motorcycle, asking Dejla to ride with him. They go to the shopping center together and spend hours there. After returning home, Dejla asks Orhan not to tell anyone about this. Nokhat and Kaya go to Kozim's house and apologize to Ferit. Nokhat kindly suggests that he spend the best days of his life with his family. However, Ferit, suspicious of her intentions, keeps laughing and says, I don't want to live with you. Is it so hard to understand? He tells Kaya, now that I'm not here, you can fully immerse yourself in my grandfather's heart and enjoy his money. Kaya, struggling to control himself, urges his mother to leave that place. When Kaya goes to the bathroom, Sona seizes the opportunity and asks Kaya to go easy on Seyran and Ferit. He says, I don't know how much trust one can have in someone with this mess and demeanor. After Nukhat and Kaya leave, Seyran tells Farid, they didn't say anything bad. How do you expect to manage our lives? What do you plan to do? Kozim says, what do you understand, Seyran? Farid's life is secured. He then asks Farid about his accounts, properties, and assets. When he realizes that Farid doesn't have anything except a credit card, he becomes upset. Farid says he will go to his grandfather and claim his rights to start his own business. Before going to the mansion, Farid visits his physiotherapist, Tala. He asks Seyran, who wanted to accompany him, to stay in the car. While being treated, Farid talks about his stressful life to Tala. Seyran, unable to bear it, retreats behind the door and overhears Farid saying that his wife doesn't help him calm down and only makes him more nervous. Seyran enters the room angrily and confronts Farid. Tala tells Farid that she can no longer continue his treatment. Farid, feeling ashamed, takes Seyran away from there. Seyran says, by what right do you talk about me to a stranger woman? Farid replies, there's a big difference between what you heard and what you understood. They argue all the way back home. Upon arriving at the mansion, Farid goes to his grandfather's room and asks him to give his share of the family wealth to start his business. Khali's Khan chuckles and says, when you stepped out of this door, you lost that share. If you want something, come back and live in this house. Otherwise, you leave, and you start everything from scratch. Farid asks, so if I come back, you agree with everything? Khali's Khan confirms, and Farid says he will think about it tonight. In the meantime, Efegat gestures to Sultan in the coffee area, pouring something into Seyran's cup. Kaya approaches Seyran to comfort her. But Seyran says she has nothing to say to her after what happened. Just then, Farid comes downstairs and becomes angry upon seeing Kaya next to Seyran. He grabs Seyran's hand and leaves the mansion. The next morning, at the breakfast table, Khali's Khan tells everyone that Kozim is the mastermind behind all these events. He says Kozim somehow convinced Farid to return. At that moment, Farid, holding Seyran's hand, enters the mansion. He tells his family, you said you want the entire family to live under one roof. I didn't come alone. At that moment, Kozim, Azmi, Khadijah, and Sona enter. Farid says, we came as a family to live together. Everyone is shocked. Kozim, with a smile, says, good morning, Korhans. Enjoy your meal. Thank you for watching, stay tuned for the next episode.